Hey, welcome to Briefly Science. So, here's something weird about you that you probably never thought about. Right now, buried inside your face, you've got this mechanism, this involuntary system that can betray you at the absolute worst possible moment. You're standing there, trying to be cool, trying to keep it together, and then boom, your face lights up like a goddamn stoplight. You're blushing. And here's what makes this truly bizarre. You're the only animal on Earth that does this, like the only one. Out of millions of species, trillions of organisms that have ever existed, humans are the only creatures that turn red when they're embarrassed. Dogs don't blush. Chimpanzees don't blush. Your cat definitely doesn't blush. It barely acknowledges your existence half the time. Just us. Just humans. Which raises this fascinating question. Why? Why would evolution give us this seemingly terrible adaptation that exposes our emotional state to everyone around us? I mean, if you were designing a human from scratch, you probably wouldn't include a feature that broadcasts, "I'm uncomfortable and vulnerable right now," to the entire room. And yet, here we are, blushing away. Stay with me here, because the answer to why we blush might completely change how you think about embarrassment, trust, and what it means to be human. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about what's actually happening when you blush, because the physiology is kinda wild. You're at a party, right? You just said something stupid. Maybe you mixed up someone's name, or told a story that landed with absolutely zero laughs, or, God forbid, you've got food in your teeth and nobody told you for like 20 minutes. The moment you realize, that's when it starts. Deep in your brain, your amygdala, this ancient little almond-shaped cluster of neurons, detects social threat. Not physical danger, mind you. Social danger, the kind that could damage your reputation, your standing in the group. Your amygdala freaks out and signals your hypothalamus, which then triggers your sympathetic nervous system. This is the same system that kicks in when you're actually in danger, the fight or flight response. But here's where it gets weird. Instead of just pumping adrenaline and getting you ready to run or fight, your nervous system does something extra. It sends a signal that specifically targets the blood vessels in your face. These tiny vessels, capillaries mostly, start dilating, getting wider. And when they widen, more blood flows through them. Your face, which normally has maybe 30% of its maximum blood capacity flowing through at any given moment, suddenly gets flooded. The effect is instant. Within seconds, your cheeks, your forehead, sometimes your neck and chest, they all turn visibly red, or pink, or purple if you really went hard with the embarrassment. And you can't stop it. That's the crucial part. Blushing is completely involuntary. You can't will yourself not to blush any more than you can will your heart to stop beating. In fact, the more you try not to blush, the more you think about blushing, the worse it gets. It's like your face has a mind of its own, betraying you, telling everyone exactly what you don't want them to know. Now, from a survival perspective, this seems insane, right? Let's zoom out and think about this from an evolutionary lens. You're a human ancestor, living maybe 100,000 years ago in a small tribe. Your survival depends entirely on your social standing in this group. Get kicked out of the tribe, you're probably not going to make it. So you'd think evolution would favor people who can hide their emotions better, people who can lie convincingly, people whose faces don't light up like beacons broadcasting, "I did something wrong." But instead, evolution gave us the exact opposite, a mechanism that makes deception nearly impossible in certain contexts. Why would that be advantageous? Here's where it gets interesting, really interesting. Charles Darwin actually wrote about this back in 1872 in the expression of the emotions in man and animals, he was completely puzzled by blushing. He called it the most peculiar and most human of all expressions. Darwin couldn't figure out why evolution would preserve something that seems so maladaptive. He knew it had to serve some function. But what? The answer, it turns out, is trust. See, humans are weird animals. We're not the fastest, not the strongest, not the most individually capable. What made us successful, what let us dominate basically every ecosystem on Earth, was our ability to cooperate. But cooperation has a problem, a big one: cheaters. If everyone in the group cooperates, everyone benefits. But if one person cheats, takes resources without contributing, lies about their efforts, steals from the communal food supply, that person benefits even more, at everyone else's expense. So evolution had to solve this cheater problem. And it came up with something brilliant. It made cheating costly by making it detectable. Enter blushing. When you blush, you're sending an involuntary signal that says, "I know I messed up. I recognize the social norm I violated. I feel bad about it." You're basically advertising your own transgression, which sounds terrible until you realize this makes you trustworthy. If someone can hide their emotions perfectly, if they can lie without any physical tell, if they can violate social norms and show no remorse, you can't trust them. They're dangerous to have in your group. But someone who blushes, someone whose face involuntarily reveals their emotional state, that person can't easily deceive you. That person is advertising their honesty through their biology. It's like, imagine you had two people applying to join your tribe. Person A has perfect control over their facial expressions, never shows embarrassment, can lie smoothly. Person B blushes when they mess up, shows visible signs of guilt and shame. Who do you trust more? Who do you want in your group? Probably person B, right? Because you can read them. You know when they're uncomfortable, when they've done something wrong. They're predictable, safe. Person A? They're a black box, could be planning anything. So, blushing isn't a bug in the human operating system. It's a feature. A really clever feature, actually. It's what scientists call a costly signal. Like a peacock's tail, it's expensive to maintain, makes you vulnerable, serves no practical purpose except to prove you can afford the handicap. Which, paradoxically, makes it valuable. When you blush, you're paying a social cost. You're experiencing embarrassment, which feels terrible. You're exposing vulnerability. But by paying that cost, you're proving something important. You care about the social rules. You're invested in the group's opinion of you. You're not a sociopath who can violate norms without any emotional response. And that makes you someone worth keeping around. Studies back this up, by the way. Multiple experiments show that people who blush after making a mistake are judged as more trustworthy, more likable, more forgivable than people who don't show any visible embarrassment. One study had participants watch videos of people recounting embarrassing stories. The people who visibly blushed while telling their stories were rated as significantly more trustworthy than those who didn't blush. Another study found that when someone commits a minor social violation, like accidentally bumping into someone, observers are more likely to forgive them if they blush than if they don't. Your brain knows this, by the way. Even if you consciously hate blushing, your unconscious social calculator understands it's working in your favor. It's repairing the social damage automatically. But here's where this gets really layered, because blushing isn't just about showing you're trustworthy after you mess up. It's also a system of preemptive cooperation. Think about it. The fact that you can blush, that you have this mechanism installed, means you're constantly monitoring yourself for social violations. You've got this internal referee watching your behavior, ready to blow the whistle and make your face light up if you step out of line. That internal monitoring, that's what keeps you in check before you even commit a violation. It's like having a cop follow you around everywhere. You're less likely to speed when there's a police car in your rearview mirror, right? Same principle. The possibility of blushing keeps you more socially calibrated, more aware of norms, more careful about how you're perceived, and everyone else knows you have this system running. They know you're capable of embarrassment, which means they can trust you to mostly stay within social boundaries without constant external enforcement. It's social regulation internalized, self-policing through the threat of public embarrassment. Pretty sophisticated when you think about it. Now, obviously, this whole system can malfunction. Some people blush way too easily, like pathologically. They'll turn red from the smallest perceived slight, even when they didn't actually do anything wrong. That's called erythrophobia, or the fear of blushing, and it can be genuinely debilitating. You become so anxious about blushing that the anxiety itself triggers more blushing. Vicious cycle. In extreme cases, people have actually gotten surgery for this. They'll have doctors go in and cut certain nerves in their spine, the ones that control facial blood vessel dilation, to stop the blushing response entirely. And here's the tragic part. It often makes things worse. Without the ability to blush, people report feeling emotionally disconnected. They lose this automatic social calibration system. Other people unconsciously trust them less, though they usually can't articulate why. Plus, the surgery often has side effects. Compensatory sweating in other parts of the body, because you can't just remove part of your autonomic nervous system without consequences. It's like you tried to remove a security feature from your operating system, and now the whole thing runs a little less smoothly. But let's zoom back to the bigger picture here, because there's something philosophically interesting happening. Blushing represents this weird paradox at the heart of human social life. We're constantly trying to manage our reputation, to control how others perceive us. But we also need to be somewhat transparent for society to function. Total opacity? That's sociopathy. Nobody trusts you. You get isolated or expelled. Total transparency? That's also bad. No privacy, no strategic thinking, no ability to protect yourself. Blushing sits right in that middle zone. It creates strategic vulnerability. You can't control everything about how you're perceived, but you can control most things. The involuntary blush is like a truth window that opens at specific moments of social violation. Just enough transparency to prove you're safe. Just enough opacity to maintain individuality. And this balance, this is uniquely human. Other primates have dominance hierarchies, sure. They have social rules. But they don't have this sophisticated system of involuntary emotional displays that serve as trust signals. They don't blush because they don't need to. Their societies aren't complex enough to require it. But humans? We built civilizations, cities with millions of people, global networks of cooperation between total strangers. We needed more advanced trust technology. Blushing is part of that technology. Here's something else that blows my mind about this. Blushing only works if everyone knows what it means. Like, imagine you're the first human to evolve the blushing response. You mess up, your face turns red, and everyone just looks at you confused. Why's your face doing that? Are you sick? Did you eat something weird? It doesn't help you at all unless other people recognize it as a signal of embarrassment. So blushing had to evolve in tandem with the cultural understanding of what blushing means. The signal and the interpretation had to develop together. This is called gene-culture coevolution, and it's one of the things that makes human evolution so weird and fascinating. Our biology and our culture are tangled up together, each shaping the other. We evolved to blush because embarrassment became culturally important. Embarrassment became culturally important because we evolved the capacity for complex social cognition. Complex social cognition allowed us to build larger groups. Larger groups required better trust signals. Better trust signals. Circle back to blushing. It's all connected. This incredible feedback loop between our genes and our social environment. Okay, but let's talk about modern life for a second. Because here's the thing, our blushing response evolved for small tribal groups. Maybe 50 to 150 people max. Now you can embarrass yourself in front of thousands or millions of people. One wrong tweet, one awkward video, one moment captured on someone's phone, and it's everywhere. Your Stone Age blushing system has no idea how to cope with that level of exposure. You can't blush to millions of people on the internet. The signal doesn't work at that scale. And even if it did, it wouldn't help, because online interactions don't have the immediate reconciliation component that makes blushing useful. In a small tribe, you blush, people see you're sorry, they forgive you, everyone moves on. 5 minutes later, you're all sitting around the fire together. Online, someone screenshots your embarrassing moment. It lives forever, gets resurfaced years later. There's no forgiveness mechanism built in. So we're living in this weird transitional period where our social signaling systems are mismatched to our environment. The hardware's outdated, but we haven't figured out the software update yet. This might be why social anxiety is skyrocketing, by the way. Our brains are constantly activating these ancient social threat systems in contexts they were never designed to handle. But you know what I find hopeful about all this? Understanding the mechanism changes how you experience it. When you're standing there, face getting hot, knowing everyone can see, that moment sucks, right? Feels like pure weakness, pure vulnerability, pure loss of control. But now you know what's actually happening. Your brain is running a sophisticated trust-building protocol. Your body is advertising cooperation. You're sending a costly signal that strengthens social bonds. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're extremely human. And honestly, in a world that's increasingly digital, increasingly disconnected, increasingly full of people who can curate perfect online personas with zero authenticity, maybe blushing is more valuable than ever. Maybe we need those moments of involuntary honesty, those windows into genuine emotional states. Maybe the people who can still blush, who still feel embarrassment, who still have that automatic social calibration system running, maybe they're the ones holding society together. There's this quote from Darwin I keep coming back to. After all his confusion about why blushing exists, he wrote, "Blushing is the most peculiar and most human of all expressions." Most human, not strongest, not smartest, most human. Because blushing represents everything that makes us us. The social complexity, the emotional depth, the cooperation, the vulnerability, the fact that we care deeply, maybe too deeply, about what others think of us. That caring, that's not a bug. That's literally what built civilization, roads and cities and art and science and everything else we're proud of. It all stems from our hypersocial nature, our desperate need to belong, to be trusted, to be valued by the group. Blushing is just the physical manifestation of that need. Your red face is proof that you're wired for connection, that you're calibrated for cooperation, that you're capable of the emotional complexity required to navigate human social life. Wear it proudly. Or, as proudly as you can while actively dying of embarrassment. All right, I think we've covered some pretty interesting territory here. from facial blood flow to evolutionary psychology to the nature of trust itself. If this made you see blushing differently, or if you've got a particularly mortifying blushing story you need to share, hit that subscribe button for Briefly Science. We're out here trying to make sense of all the weird biological quirks that make us human. And seriously, drop a comment. Tell me about the most embarrassing time you blushed. Or if you're one of those lucky people who never blush, tell me what that's like. I'm genuinely curious. Because at the end of the day, we're all just mammals with overly complicated social brains, trying to navigate a world that's way more complex than what we evolved for. And understanding how we're wired? That's the first step to maybe being a little easier on ourselves when our biology betrays us. Your face is going to turn red sometimes. That's okay. That's human. That's actually kinda beautiful when you think about it. See you next time. Stay curious and stay pink.